Hi guys, today I'm going to be showing you how to make this cute baby rhino, and we're going to make this exact one. So if you want to make it using these colors, you're going to need 12 orange, 4 pinks, 2 blacks, 8 neon blue for the belly, and 155 teal bands. And you can make it whatever color you want. So let's get started. Let's start by making the front and the hind legs. I'm making the front longer than the back because I want her to sit upright. So let's take orange. I'm going to loop it 3 times on my hook, and we'll do that twice with 3 rubber bands at a time. We're going to pull all the loops off of the hook and onto the 3 single bands, and make sure it's not tangled. And I'm doing the front legs, so we'll do this a total of 4 times. So that's 1, this is 2, 3, 4, and the hind legs will do it 3 times total. So that's one of the front legs, and when you're done, we're going to put it on a single band to add to our body later. Let's tie a loose slip knot to hold it. So you need 2 of those. I'm going to make the hind legs once again, taking my orange, 2 of them, looping it 3 times on the hook, 3 single bands at a time. We're going to pull the orange onto the 3 single bands. We'll do this 3 times, so that's 1, 2, 3 for the hind legs, and once again we're going to get it onto a single band to attach to our body later. And let's tie a loose slip knot. So those are my hind legs, and these are my front legs. Set it aside. And let's make the cheek and the eyes. They're made the same way. I already made one. I'm using pink and black. We're looping a single band 4 times on our hook. The pinks are for the cheeks, and getting them onto a single band. That's the color of the body. So those are my eyes and my cheeks. And now let's make the ears, taking a single band, looping it 4 times on the hook, taking another single, looping it 3 times, so you have 2 bands, one looped 4 times and the second looped 3 times. Taking the pink for the inside of our ear, and we're going to pull all the loops off of the hook and onto the single pink band, and this will be the top of the ear. Taking another single band, and let's tie a loose slip knot. So there's our ears. Go ahead and pause the video to make your second set and come back when you're done. Let's make the horn and the tail in the back, and we're going to tie some knots. So on a loom, we're taking a single band, mine will be orange, looping it from the second peg from the bottom, twist to the left to create an X, twist to the right and looping it back on the second peg from the bottom. So that's what yours should look like. Repeating for the second one. This will be the tail, twist to the left, twist to the right, and getting it back onto the second peg from the bottom. Now on the left side, pulling the bottom band up and over to the center to create our knot. And let's get the loops onto a hook. So that's what yours should look like. And now let's make the horn, taking a single band, twist double, and we're going to pull the loops off of the hook and onto the single we doubled. Second one, single twist double, make sure it's centered and getting it onto a single band to add to our face later. So that's the horn. And now for the tail, we're taking a single band and pulling the loops off of the hook and onto that single band and just tie a slip knot. So that's for our tail. So now let's make the head on our loom in this configuration. We're going to take 2 single bands and we're going to twist in the center and loop it across, and we'll repeat this 2 more times to cover 6 pegs. Push it down, and that's what yours should look like. Row number 2, taking 6 single bands to cover our 6 pegs. And then we're going to loop the bottom 2 bands up and over to the center for all 6 pegs. Make sure you push it all down after each row. That was row number 2. We're going to expand to 8 pegs, taking the 2 loops off of the center third and moving it to the center fourth on a loom, like that. Now pulling the top loop off of the side second to move to the side third. So taking the top loop off and moving it to the side third and repeating on the other side. Grabbing the top loop off of the side second to move to the side third. So the side second and third each has a single band and the rest has 2. And now let's add our ears. We're going to take our loops with our ears and we're going to attach it on the first to second side peg for both sides. And we also want to make sure that the side with just the 3 loops is facing up towards the top of our loom on our ear. So that's what it should look like, and this part will be showing. And for the rest, we're taking single bands to cover our 8 pegs. and the side second and third each has a single loop. We're going to pull that up and over to the center. Let's repeat on the other side. The side second and third, and the rest should have 2 loops to pull up and over, and you should have 2 loops left per peg. And remember, we want to pull the bottom 2 loops up and over to the center. Push everything down. Row number 4, we're going to add our eyes, and we're looping it from the side first to the center first peg for both sides. And for the rest, we're going to take single bands to cover the rest of our 8 pegs. And then we're going to loop the bottom 2 bands up and over to the center, leaving us with 2 loops left on each peg. Push it all down. So that's what yours should look like. And now we're going to make the mouth. On our loom, we're going to take 2 single bands and coming down the sides once with 2 single bands. We're not attaching it, it's separate. Taking a single band, we're coming diagonally for both sides. Push it down. Now taking our cheek, we're going to loop it from the second to the third side peg for both sides. Taking a single band, we're going to loop it on top of the cheek bands. Taking 2 single bands, we'll come diagonally to the center of our loom. Make sure you push it down, it doesn't overlap. Taking 2 single bands, we'll come and close our mouth. Taking a single band, we're going to loop it 4 times on the hook. Taking another single, twist double, and getting the loops off of the hook and onto the single we doubled. And this will act as our cap band on the center peg right there. Now taking our horn, we're going to loop it across, covering these 2 pegs with our horn pointing down. Now we're going to go under the cap band, grab the top 2 single, make sure you hold down the cap, and loop it to the center. Now go in the center, grabbing the top single. Mine's going to the left. Go back in the center, grabbing the bottom single to the right. Go under the cap band, grabbing the top 2 single, and mine's going to the left. And let's finish the left side of our loom. all the way to the side first. And now let's repeat the right side, going under, grabbing the bottom 2 loops, and just continue up the right side. So that's what our mouth should look like. And now let's take it off the loom. Don't let it come off of these 2 pegs. Get it onto a hook. So there's the top of our mouth with the horn sticking out. And now let's attach it to the face. We're going to attach it on these side first peg. So with the horn facing down, like that, we're going to get the loops off of the hook and onto the side first peg. So that's what one side should look like. And we're going to pull it around the top first peg and looping the other side onto the side first peg. There should be 4 loops. Getting it onto that side first peg. So you should have 6 loops on the side first peg. Push it down. So there's the top of the mouth. And now row number 5, we're taking 8 single bands to cover our 8 pegs. And looping the bottom 2 bands up and over to the center, and this should have 6 loops left. Continue around, grabbing the bottom 2 loops, leaving 2 loops left on each peg. In the first center peg, we want to pull the mouth down and grabbing the bottom 2 loops to pull up and over to the center, leaving us with 2 loops left on that peg. Row number 6 is our last row. We're taking 8 single bands to cover our 8 pegs. And now the side first peg should have 6 loops to pull up and over to the center, leaving us with 2 loops. Repeating on the other side, we're going to pull the bottom 6 loops. Make sure you hold the bands down, up and over to the center, leaving us with 2 loops. And loop the other pegs up and over, leaving us with 2 loops. Once again, pull the mouth down, grabbing the bottom 2 loops up and over to the center. So our face is almost done. Now taking the 2 bands off of each of the 8 pegs, and make sure you only grab the top 2 loops, don't snag the mouth. So there's our head, and let's stuff it. I'm going to use some old bands. You can use whatever you have. Don't overstuff it. And let's tie a slip knot, getting everything onto the single band. And tying your head off. Just tuck in the loose slip knot band. And you can fix the ears so the pink shows. And fix the horn on top of the nose. So there's our head. We're going to add the body, turning our head upside down. This is where we tied the slip knot. We're going to push a hook through the center of our head, and you should have 2, 4, 6, 8 loops on either side of your hook. So that's what it should look like. There's the top of the head, and I just pushed my hook all the way through. Taking 4 single bands, we're going to pull the bands off of the hook and onto the 4 single bands, and make sure it doesn't snag. So that's what yours should look like. So on our loom, with our head pointing down, we're going to attach one side to the side left first peg, making sure our head is in between the first left and the center first peg, and looping the other side to the right second peg. So that's what yours should look like, and there should be 4 loops on those pegs. Now we're going to grab the top 2 loops off of the left first peg and moving it to the left second, and grabbing 2 loops off of the right second peg and moving it to the right first peg. So that's what yours should look like. And now taking 2 single bands, we're going to cover from the center first, twist in the center to the center third. So we've covered 6 pegs, and that was row number 1. Row 2, we're taking 6 single bands to cover our 6 pegs. And then we're looping the bottom 2 bands up and over to the center for all 6 pegs. sure you push down as you go. Now we're going to expand. We're going to pull the 2 loops off of the center 3rd and moving it to the center 4th. And then pulling the top single band off the side 2nd to move to the side 3rd. Repeating on the other side, grabbing the top loop and moving it to the side 3rd. So that's what yours should look like. And now row number 3, we're going to add the front legs. We want the one that has 4, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to attach it to the center 1st, to the right 1st peg, and the other front leg, attaching it on the left 2nd to the left 1st peg. So that's what it should look like. I'm going to give a little color in the belly. So I'm going to take a single band, this is neon blue, and placing it on the center 1st to the left 1st peg. And for the rest, we're going to take single bands to cover the rest of our 8 pegs. And the side 2nd and 3rd has a single loop to pull up and over to the center because we expanded, and leaving us with 2 loops left per peg. And the rest you should loop up 2 bands up and over to the center, leaving us with 2 loops. Push all the bands down. Row 4, we're going to add the tummy, taking our tummy bands, 3 of them, on those 4 pegs, and the rest we're taking our body color to cover the rest of our 8 pegs, and looping the bottom 2 bands up and over to the center, leaving 2 loops left on each peg, and we want to always reach from the outside, looping it in. That was row number 4. Row 5. Let's do another set for the belly. And repeating the same with single bands to cover the rest of our 8 pegs. And looping the bottom 2 bands up and over to the center, leaving us with 2 loops on each peg. Row 6 is our last row. We're going to add our hind legs, taking the loose slip knot and attaching it to the right 1st to 2nd peg, And the other side, we're attaching it to the left second to third. And the rest we'll take single bands to cover the rest of our 8 pegs for our last row. And loop the bottom 2 bands up and over. And once again, we always want to be left with 2 loops on each peg. So that was row number 6. And now we're going to take these 2 loops first off of the right third peg, getting it onto our hook and going clockwise around our loom, getting all the loops onto our hook, making sure our legs are sticking out. And pulling our rhino off the loom. So there she is. And let's stuff her. I'm going to use some old bands, and you can use whatever you have around. So there is our cute baby rhino. And now taking the band with our tail, we're going to pull all the loops off of the hook and onto that band with our tail. And we want to make sure it's centered and pull the tail through to tie a slip knot. And make sure our tail band is even, like that. So you're going to have to pull and adjust. Be careful not to break your band. I'll do that later. Now you can fix the cheeks and the horn and the ears and everything to the way you like. And the arms and the legs and even the tail. So here are our cute baby rhinos. I hope you like her. Thanks for watching.